911. There's a bad wreck in Clay County there. I don't know if...
Kentucky State Police, Dispatcher Noble.
Hey, Junebug.
Yes, sir.
Y'all had any reports of a wreck on 80? We just got one. This lady called, I don't know if it's in Perry or Leslie. She said that her husband's a tanker driver and said there's one fatality. There's one dead.
The big tractor trailer of the embankment.
Yeah. It's the worst one we've ever had. I know that.
I think that, and I've discussed this with Defense Counsel, I think this is a question of split liability here between all parties, always have.
You'd agree with me that if Mr. Strong could probably have stopped without hitting the red cars, that would have avoided this collision, right?
It's possible, yes.
Okay. So the stopping distance in the reconstruction of this it's important, right?
Yes.
Okay. Based on the diagram there at a 35 and a half mile an hour speed and a 1.5 second PNR time and a half a second for air lag, does it look to you like he could have stopped before hitting the red cars?
Based on these distances, yes, he probably could have.
Okay.
But the distance-wise, yes, it appears that he could have stopped.
Okay, and just so we're clear, we'd agree that Mr. Strong didn't think he could stop,
Correct.
but he probably could have.
It's possible, yes, sir.
It's probable.
Yes.
Okay.
I will have to say it was probable based on this.
Well, do you think he made some mistakes, some errors in judgment that helped contribute to this crash?
Given the scenario, I would have to say yes, he did.
Okay.
I think Mr. Simon's mistakes or lapses in judgment go without being said. He came upon vehicles that were stopped.
You mean Mr. Strong?
Mr. Strong, yes.
Okay.
He went into the westbound lane and ultimately into the shoulder. He came upon two stopped vehicles on the shoulder. He did not, per his testimony, he did not slow as he came upon these two vehicles. I think that goes without saying. When he crossed into that lane, there was some issues.
So the assumption that Mr. Strong couldn't have stopped, if anybody has that, would be based solely on eyewitness testimony.
Correct.
All right. And let's try to get the eyewitness testimony out of the way pretty quick. You'd agree with me that it would be highly unreliable based on what you know about Mr. Compas's distance, angle, and obstruction to be able to calculate or accurately tell us how many feet or yards there were between Mr. Strong and the red vehicle when it pulled out.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it would be ludicrous to imagine that that would be accurate testimony, correct?
That's correct. What set this entire sequence of events in order, in action, without question, is the ambulance driver. I'm bad with names, Mr. Murray. His actions set this entire sequence in order. Had he not been exceeding the posted speed limit without his emergency lights on. Actually, yes, KRS 189-940 specifically states that the driver of an emergency vehicle desiring to use of any option granted by sections 1 through 3 of this subsection of this section shall give warning in the following manner: by illuminating the vehicle's lights continuously during the period of the emergency. That being the case, that did not happen here.
Was the ambulance involved in that, which you're describing as the emergency situation in this case?
Based on all the information that we have, the ambulance caused the emergency situation, but it was not involved in the emergency situation.
Okay.
The fact that it had its lights illuminated, causing people to yield right of way to it, actually caused the emergency situation when those two red vehicles pulled out, back out, or at least one of them pulled back out in front of Mr. Strong.
Okay. So from your conclusion, can I assume that you found that the ambulance driver was negligent?
In my opinion, yes, sir.
And you don't think that the ambulance driver met an appropriate standard of care and that they acted unreasonably, correct?
That's my opinion, yes, sir.
He has 5 seconds from the time that he sees Mr. Strong change lanes, right?
Correct.
At that point, though, if he just stops, he has every reason to think that oncoming semi-tractor trailer is going to hit him, correct?
It's possible. I'm just saying he could stop.
And I'm trying to get to what's reasonable. Although he physically could have stopped, if Mr. Simons is in his lane of travel where he has the right-of-way, and he sees an 80,000-pound semi-tractor trailer veer into his lane, he has no idea whether or not that truck can come to a stop or not, right?
That's correct.
So if he makes the decision, if Mr. Simons makes the decision to stop, it would also be reasonable for him to think that he'd be sitting there right there in the middle of the lane while the truck smashed into him.
I'm just making the determination that he could have stopped.
Okay.
But that's a reasonable assumption on your part.
And it would be reasonable on his part as well.
I think that probably would be.
So as you sit here today, your opinion is that Marty Simons did nothing wrong to contribute to this crash.
In my opinion, when people get into a panic situation, it's not fair to blame them for what they do. And so based on that, I have no opinion that that Mr. Simons was negligent.
Okay.
And said there's one fatality. There's one dead. It's the worst one we've ever had. I know that.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. Their tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow. No tomorrow, no tomorrow. And I find it kinda funny, I find it kinda sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad